Okay, so got this image of this lovely young woman from photographer Colton Stark, also known as Soulful Recover on the photo forum. And he's looking to get the area around the eyes lightened up, especially underneath the eyes. It looks a little bit dark there, and so he'd like to lighten that up in a way that looks uh, fairly natural anyway. Uh, so I've already taken some little hairs and things like that away from the image. You can see there's like one here, and there were a couple of little things, and I just cleared them up. No big deal. And to make things quick, this is for frequency separation we're going to try. And so to make things quick, I'm just going to use the Phlearn. You can see it up here, Phlearn frequency separation action. So I'll just hit that, and that will do this bit of business. And what we want to do is get this blurred to where we don't see the skin texture anymore, um, which is actually looking pretty blurred already. And I'm going to go with, well, I'll just go with 5. That'll work. And it will finish the action. And now we've got our frequency separation layer. And if we turn it off and on, we'll see there's really no difference. And if you go into the histogram, you'll see a really tiny difference, but it's not that big a deal. Um, so anyway, we're going to go here, and I'm going to put a new layer here because I like to work on my own separate layer when I'm doing stuff like this. And I'm going to go into the brush tool, and if you look up here, my flow is about 5%. It's real low, and the opacity is at 100%. It's a it's a real soft edge brush. And when let me just show you up here before I get started. Up here on the um, sampling thing, I'm on a 5 by 5 average. Okay, so when I sample, I'm going to be sampling a bigger area. The If I sample on a point from point to point, it can vary quite a bit. So a bigger area will give me a better average. Anyway, back to the brush tool, and for some reason my shortcut's not working while I'm using this video editor. That's about a good size, I think, for the brush. And when I hold down the Alt key, I'll be able to sample. Now, if I sample, say, in a dark area, we'll see, the color that picked, real dark. And if we sample in a light area, it picks a really light color. Well, what color do I want to fill this in? Well, one of these skin textures down here. Now, I could go here. That's kind of dark. It matches that area, and so it wouldn't change very much. But I'm going to go just a little bit lighter because I am using a really low flow here, so I got some room to operate. And now I'm on this separate layer between the blurred layer here and the detail layer up here, and I'm just going to paint with my. I'm using a Wacom pen here, and I'm just going to paint in here a little bit, and I'm using pretty firm pressure on my pen. But again, I've got that really low flow. Now, it, you can, it, well, you can take a look and see, does it look like it's making any difference? Well, if we turn this layer off and on, you can see how much difference it's made already. And it still looks very natural. The same skin texture and all that is still there. And that's because the texture is up here on this layer above it. And if we turn that off, we can see it's how blurry it is, right? But we're painting over top of that blur and keeping the texture. So there's one side, and that's I think that's a pretty good improvement to get rid of the darkness under that eye. And then we'll do the same thing over here on this side. We'll just give this a little brush like so. And now that deep crevice right there just underneath her eyelid. Now that's up here in this detail area. So I'm not going to be able to paint that away by painting new color in there. Okay, I'm going to sample down here a little bit. It's a little bit lighter on this side, and I'm going to get right in there like that. Okay, but there is some work that we can do on that deep crevice right there, in that we can go to the detail layer itself. And so now we're on the detail layer, and if I go to the clone stamp tool, and I uh, keep my flow pretty low still, and that's 14. I'm going to drop that down, let's say to 10, just for giggles. And I'm still using a really soft brush with my clone stamp tool, and I'm gonna grab some of this texture right here. Now I'm not sampling any of the color, just the texture, and I'm gonna just paint lightly over this crevice, and it just helps smooth that out a little bit. It doesn't get rid of it, and it doesn't cover it up, but it blends in some of the other texture to kind of soften it. And so if I turn this layer off that has all of the edits, we can see how much of a difference that makes too. Okay, so that's something you can do. It's a tool, if you use it, you use it, and if you feel that that's not appropriate, then don't. And that's pretty much it. So there's the whole thing is up here in this layer right here, and if I turn it off and turn it on, we can see the difference, and it still looks very natural. There's none of that telltale cloning, stamping, and healing brush. It just doesn't look real. It doesn't look like the underside of an eye, with its particular kinds of little wrinkles and texture and that sort of thing. And so this to me, this is a preferred method. Now, just for giggles, okay, I'm going to put another layer right here, and I'm going to pick a wild color. I'm just going to pick, let's see, we'll pick this right here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and I'll go back to my brush tool, and I'm just going to start painting. Again, it's that low flow, so it builds up as you paint, you see. But even though I'm painting this wild color on here that doesn't make any sense, you can still see the texture of the skin. So it's just like it's like makeup. It's like if you put makeup on. Now, makeup does cake, between the pores and stuff like that more than this will, but you get the idea. It still looks very natural in there as far as, does it look like skin? Yeah. Does it look like the skin that belongs in that area underneath the eye? Yeah, it sure does. So, pretty cool technique. All right. And have fun with it. Good luck with it. If it works for you, great. If not, there's a bunch of other ways to do everything in Photoshop. You'll find something. All right. That's it. Bye bye.